Hi everyone, Plastic EP here from Melbourne. It's winter. Look what I've got here. It's Liverpool Dave. How are you, Liverpool Dave?
It's great in Liverpool because it's the summer. It's great.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you serious? We're freezing down here.
Oh, well, so are we, but that's a British summer for you.
Okay, doesn't matter. Anyway, I want to tell you now, you're looking great. Like the new shirt. Love the couch. Now, have you noticed the design in the back here? Do you want to know about the design?
I was going to ask you about that because I'm thinking, I've got the couch.
Do you like that?
That's fabulous.
Yeah, but you know why I've done that?
Go on,
because I'm thinking I got a new career for you, Dave.
Go on.
Right, you ready for this? You're going to become an interior designer. So what I want you to do is go to the pub, and you know how they got a wall that's no good? You're going to go there and tape this stuff, get it like wallpaper sticky, and put it there and charge them money and redesign all of Liverpool. And you'll be able to play darts in the pub. Is that a great idea or not?
Darts is a brilliant game. The only thing with the sharp bit on the darts, as somebody once said, I don't see the point in darts.
Fair enough. You know what? You know what thing about me? Watch this. The human dartboard.
How many people want to throw darts at you now?
Hey, look at this. This one's even better. You're going to love this. Look at that.
Oh,
look at that.
Get the bullseye.
How good's that? Exactly. If you don't kill somebody walking through. Have they ever thrown darts and somebody walks through with a beer and cops it in their head?
That would be cool.
All right, listen. Now, on to business. Before we go into the David Bedford report, you ready for this?
Okay, what we got?
Okay, now, I want to talk about our very good friend, Michael A. Hill. This is his book, right?
Fabulous
John
book.
Lennon, the boy who became a legend.
Yeah.
Now, if you want this book, it's available in Australia, right? If you go to johnlegend.com.
John Lennon Legend. Yeah.
John Lennon Legend.com. All lowercase, one word. John Lennon Legend.com. Now, if you want the book signed, again in Australia, I'm going to give you Michael Hill's email, and this is what it is, all right? All lowercase. It's michael.hill@bigpond.com. I'm going to spell it for you, all lowercase. MICHAEL .hill, HILL, at bigpond, one word, BIGPOND.com. C-O-M. They know how to spell. All right? Now, that's a great book.
Fantastic.
And you know yourself, David, how big do you rate this book? One of the books that sold at Strawberry Fields is this book. That's how great this book is.
Yeah, well, I loved it. When I heard that Michael had written his story, some of his friends approached me, and I helped him get it published, did some editing, and helped get the book out there, and I helped to promote it as well. That's how good it is.
That's why you're the man, because I move now on to the other subject that you write books. You're familiar with The Beatle That Vanished by Jim Birkenstadt?
Brilliant book.
Now,
absolutely fantastic.
This is the Bible, if you want to know about the missing Beatle, right? Jimmy Nickle. Now, what I want to say is, I think it's time Jimmy Nickle comes out in public. If we can find him or track him down.
Yeah.
Plastic EP, David Bedford, and I'm sure Jim Birkenstadt would love to know where he is.
Definitely.
And if you send us a text or an email, wherever you are, we'd love to get you on the show. We'll invite Jim Birkenstadt too, and we'll talk to you. And if you want to write a book, the people to talk to is Jim Birkenstadt and a good man here in Liverpool, David Bedford. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. If anybody out there has seen him, because he's not been seen in public for years and years, he could be anywhere on the planet. We don't know where. Now, I do know a good friend of mine met Jimmy back in the 80s at a Beatles convention in Holland, and Jimmy did say he was writing his book. Nothing's ever happened. So, Jimmy, if you're out there, please get in touch. We need to know where you are. Let everybody tell your story. And of course, a big part of that story is based in Australia, isn't it? When he came on the world tour.
We want to get the story out. I want to get it out as much as you do, because you got to understand something. Okay? It's like me. If no one writes my story and I'm gone, that's it. And I tell a lot of people that interview, if you've got a story to tell, put it on video, because in 10 years' time they're going to look back, and if they don't know what your stories are, no one knows.
Exactly.
Isn't that true? I mean, now
the book is so good.
That's why you need a book, but you also need to be on video. So what we'll do is you'll be writing a book if he gives you permission, but we'll get him on the show and do different interviews with him, like a documentary special. Yeah. That's what I'd love to do. So if anybody knows where Jimmy Nickle is or whatever, they can email you.
Definitely. Get in touch with us. We need to know.
What's your email?
Go to david@davidabedford.com.
All right, just say it again slowly because it's a big fast.
Yeah, david@davidabedford.com. Nice and simple. Bit like me.
As I said, we find out what's going on. You know, you never know, because he may be watching the internet. He might type in Beatles and find us by mistake. And he goes, you know, he might have a story to tell and say, look, you know, they seem like a nice group of guys. They care about me, which we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm fascinated to know his story from him.
Yes.
That's like, you know, what is it? You go on tour with the Beatles for 14 days. You're top of the world.
Yeah.
You know? And what he's got to understand is the world love him, and the Beatle community will embrace him. They will embrace him. He is part of the Beatle story, because, let me put it to another way, Dave. You find people in your books, you told me.
Yeah.
The ones that even if they play with the Beatles for 2 days, you go and give them credit where it's due.
Definitely.
So maybe it's time now that credit's due to him from a long time ago. He never wrote a book. He never came out and said anything about the Beatles. Exactly. And basically his story is with him. And I actually think now is the perfect time.
Yeah.
2020. Jimmy, tell your story. Let us know. Contact David. And if you want to write a book, as I said, we're here to help.
Yeah.
You know, that's my appeal out there. And I want people, whether it's in, what is it? The countries, whether it's in, where is it? He could be in England. Yeah. He could be in, where was he seen last time?
He spent a lot of time in Mexico. He lived out there for a good number of years. So he might have gone back there.
Well, no one knows where he is, but he's on the planet and he's still around. And as I said, this is what we do here. We want to give an appeal. And if we can track down Jimmy Nickle, or you know anything, or you know something, help us to get in contact with him, and we'll get in contact with him, won't we, Dave?
Absolutely right. You know, and that's why Jim Birkenstadt wrote his fantastic book. You know,
exactly. And as I said, we'll keep Jim informed all the way, and we'll give reports. That's why it's called the David Bedford Report. If we've got anything to tell you, we'll report it here first, won't we, Dave?
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
And even another thing I want to say, even with Mel's book, if something surfaces about Mel's book, right, the missing book or something, let us know. We don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe the book doesn't exist. Now, we don't know. Maybe someone's got the book. Do we know, David? We don't know nothing. We're just here on the net. Anyway, let's move on to other things. So that's 2 things we told the world. Now, the third one is, I don't know if you're aware of this, David, but look at this. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Where did you see it? It's a rip-up Plastic EP's birthday party. It's going out to the US on the 10th of December, and it's going out to the UK, everywhere. It's going out to the world.
Excellent. Well, I mean, obviously, this is all that people are talking about in Liverpool at the moment. I bumped into my neighbours. The kids are in the playground. All you can hear them chanting is, "We love Plastic EP." So everybody is talking about the greatest live event of the century, of the decade.
Well, I mean, it's not as big as Liverpool Soccer Club, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good fun. That's all I'm going to say. All right?
Sure,
but what I need you to do is, David, I need you now to say your birthday wishes, because whatever you say now, it will be taken from this show and put into that show. So aren't you lucky you're going to be in 2 shows?
I'm honoured. I am honoured. So what I can tell you is, this is the big event of the year. It's going to be, as you would say, a ripper.
Yes.
Of a party. It's going to be fantastic.
I want you to go around Liverpool and say it's a ripper. Now, did I tell you where a ripper comes from?
Go on, where?
All right. What happens is everybody in the 70s says it's a ripper, mate. That's great, mate. So what happens is a ripper means, oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's great. That's what a ripper means. So you can go around and say it's a ripper. But not only that, they had albums called It's a Ripper. This is the one in 1976.
Fantastic.
And it's got all the songs on there. And you can see they've ripped their pants to write the songs. I mean, what country in the world puts out an album like this? Have you ever seen anything like it?
That's fantastic.
I know. Now, can you read some songs?
I've got to say, they've got a cheek, haven't they? Because you can say, oh, Donna Summer.
Keep going.
Yeah, we've got Billy Ocean. I've got Nazareth. Wow. You are going back now, aren't you? Flipping heck.
All right, but not only do we have the record ripper in 1976, so when you say it's a ripper, once you get used to that going around saying it's a ripper, right, hang on. Not only do you have 76, but guess what?
What?
You got 77.
Another cheek.
It reminds me of those movies. You know those movies, those British ones on the. What was the one with what's his name? Sid James.
Oh, Carry On.
Yeah, it's a bit like Carry On.
Yeah. Oh,
can you read that?
Bee Gees, Julie Covington, Brian Ferry, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Status Quo. They're my boys.
Are you married, Dave?
Say again.
I said, are you married?
Yeah, been married for.
Okay, don't let your wife look at this. Make sure she doesn't catch you looking at this.
Don't worry. She never watches anything. She has no idea.
That's a joke, all right?
She has no idea.
What about this one? This is really Australian since we're going on it. Can you see the comparison? Right? This is the comparison. Hang on. You ready?
I'm ready.
Just got to make sure where it's coming from. 1 minute. It's coming from the wrong. No, it's coming. What's the comparison? Wait. Hang on. I'll show you the album first. What's it say? That only in Australia. They got a pig with glasses. Do you see that?
Full bore. Yeah.
Now tell me. Wait a minute. Hang on. How close do we come? Wait.
You could be twins.
That's what I'll say. How close? Look at the nose. Is it not compatible?
Nobody would ever say you're a bore, though.
Look at that. It looks like there's two of us. Is that amazing or what?
Now, who had the look first, you or the bore?
Only on this show. Do you agree?
That's fantastic.
Okay. Now, what happens is I need you now to say happy birthday to me. I don't know what you want to say. As I said, just lower down your thing a little bit. You got a bit of headspace there so we get it perfect. Just put yourself in frame. Don't worry. Everybody's watching this. They've got plenty of time. All right. Center yourself. I want to make sure you look perfect because all of America is going to be looking at you. So I've got to make sure you look right. Sorry. Not only will all of England be looking at you, but all of America, Peru.
That's scary.
India, Pakistan, Greece. All right. You say whatever birthday wishes you want, and I'll be cutting it out from me and putting it in the show.
Go. So here I am, Liverpool Dave, sometimes known as Vinyl LP, all the way from Liverpool to my favourite Australian down there, Plastic EP. Happy birthday. Have a wonderful day. Glad I could be part of the event. Have a ripper.
Thank you. You can't say any more than that. We love you up there in Liverpool. I want you to know that because now we know. What do you think it's time for? It's time for something very special. And I'm going to find out who's here. Hang on. See. There, look at that. Who's got that? Who doesn't look after you here?
Look at that. That's fantastic.
And I've got someone in, Marcia, she says hi, EP. And David says hello too. All right, now, let's go for the David Bedford report because I know you got something very special.
Yeah.
So tell everyone out there what we're doing tonight.
Well, what I wanted to do was to talk about 3 songs in particular with Liverpool links. And they've all got great stories. And not everybody understands where the songs came from. So first one I'm going to mention is In My Life, which for a lot of people, it's their favourite Beatles song. I absolutely love the song. Now, when John started writing this, he was trying to think of all those places from his childhood that he remembered when he used to go. There's the Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, I want to get John in there for you. There's John.
Oh, fantastic.
And look how it comes in like that, all psychedelic.
Hey, that's fabulous.
Where do you get that?
You're no mug, are you?
Look at that. See what it says?
Fantastic.
Nothing is real.
Yeah.
And when you bring it in closer, look at that. It's psychedelic. Look at that. All right, let's get back to the report.
Yeah, that's cool. We're going to talk about strawberry fields forever in a minute.
Okay.
So in my life, so John was thinking of all the places he remembered. So he started just writing them all down. And he just made a list. The first place he mentioned was Penny Lane. So he said, Penny Lane's one I'm missing. So I'm going up Church Road, which goes off Penny Lane. The Clock Tower where they used to meet. The Abbey Cinema where they used to go and watch all the cowboy films on a Saturday morning. He mentions the tram sheds, the Dutch Cafe, St. Columba's Youth Club, Calderstones Park. And he's writing all these places he remembered, but he couldn't make it work in a song. So he scrapped it, started again with the more generic, there are places I'll remember all my life. This then became a more general but very personal song for John, looking back at his time in Liverpool growing up there. And of course, he mentions his friends, some are dead and some are living. So the first reference is for Stuart Sutcliffe, who of course was his best mate, who died at the age of 21 in Hamburg, 1962. And probably the one for some are living is going to be his best friend, Pete Shotton. And they stayed friends all the way through John's life. So he was making this a more general song, but it started out with him looking back to his childhood. By writing that song, that then started a discussion with Paul. And he started this idea, should we write some songs about our childhood experiences in Liverpool? Well, of course, the first line that John had written down was Penny Lane. So Paul starts work on Penny Lane. And John starts work then on Strawberry Fields Forever. So they used to bounce off each other. This is how the Lennon-McCartney thing worked. So Paul's writing this song. Now, for a lot of people, they think it's just a nice little song about a place that John and Paul would remember in Liverpool, and that's it. Actually, it's a very, very personal song, and most people don't get it. So there's 4 characters mentioned in the song: barber, banker, fireman, and pretty nurse. To understand what Penny Lane, the song, means, I only fully understood it when I moved here. So I've been living around here for over 30 years now. And there's 3 Penny Lanes. Now you've got the road at Penny Lane. Now that's been in the news over the last week or two. With all part of the Black Lives Matter campaign. And there was some information put out years ago to say Penny Lane was named after a slave train. So last week, people went out with a spray can and they sprayed out the name Penny and wrote racist. Now, years ago, we were able to prove that there's no link whatsoever with the slave trader James Penny. So the Slavery Museum in Liverpool, who initially said it was, are now going to remove that because we proved, lots of historians here, that there's no link. So you've got Penny Lane, you've got a road. You then got a roundabout at the top, which is actually not called Penny Lane, but local people just always call it the Penny Lane roundabout because that was the bus terminus. So if you go there today and you look at the front of a bus, it still says Penny Lane on it as the destination. So because you paid your fare to Penny Lane, people just called the roundabout the Penny Lane roundabout. Now that's where you find the barber shop, and that's where John, Paul and George used to go and get the haircut. There is still a barber shop on that site. The name's changed to Tony Slavin. It used to be called Bioletti's, but you can still go in there and get your haircut on Penny Lane. You then got the banker. Now, there were 3 banks on this little roundabout back in the 50s. The most likely one is one on the same block as the barbershop, which is a doctor's surgery now. So why was there a banker in the song? And Do you know what was the mode of transport that the banker had in the song of Penny Lane?
Motor car, wasn't it? Motor car?
He has a motor car. So why do you write about a banker with a motor car?
Because he's affluent in society.
Exactly right, because most people in that area back
Didn't
then,
have a car.
no, but the bank manager did.
Yeah.
Now, there tends to be a global general hatred of bank managers. So you can imagine this wet, miserable day. Paul McCartney's at the bus stop waiting for his bus. Who do you hate the most? The bank manager. He walks out of his bank and he doesn't need his Mac in the pouring rain.
Yeah, got it.
He goes straight into his car and drives home.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Once you explain it.
Exactly. That's why the children laugh at him behind his back.
You got it.
Jealousy. So that's why the bank is in there.
But so you explain it. Now, I just want to say something. Paul McCartney admires Jerry because he wrote the song Ferry on the Mersey. He reckons it's a great song. What a song to describe Liverpool, Ferry on the Mersey. The same thing again. There's one that's dedicated to Liverpool, and the soccer team sang it.
Yeah.
Liverpool in 64, whatever it was, or 63, whatever year that song came out, and it's still an anthem today. Yeah. Like We Walk Alone. You know what I'm trying to say? How amazing is it like for Jerry to have such a big influence on Liverpool, same as the Beatle. Well deserved. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Paul has paid homage to that song.
Yeah. It's a fantastic song, You'll Never Walk Alone. And Ferry Across the Mersey is brilliant. And that's what they were writing about there, Liverpool. So we've got the barber, we've got the banker in Penny Lane. So the third character is the fireman. Now, the fire station itself is about 3/4 of a mile away from Penny Lane. But Paul would go past the fire station every day on his way to and from school. So when you put a fireman at the Penny Lane roundabout, probably because his dad was a volunteer fireman during the Second World War, because, of course, Liverpool was heavily bombed. There were fires everywhere. So Paul was quite proud of that fact. So because of that, when you then get on to the fourth character, the pretty nurse, everybody assumed that because Paul's mum was a nurse, that's why the pretty nurse was in the song. When I was researching my first book, Liverpool, which is why I'm Liverpool Dave today, I met a guy who told me the real story of the nurse. This guy's name was Stan Williams. He was at Dovedale School with John Lennon and with George. He was standing at the roundabout next to the pretty nurse. Now, her name was Beth Davidson. She was 14. She was a nurse cadet. And she was selling poppies for Remembrance Day. So Armistice Day, the end of the First World War, the 11th of November. While they were standing there, along walks John Lennon and his best mate, Pete Shotton. And the four of them talk. They were all friends. The reason she's in the song is that Beth was the girlfriend of Pete Shotton. And when they were older, they got married. So John put his best friend's wife in a Beatle song and nobody knew. So this proves that the last verse of Penny Lane was written by John, not by Paul. It's got nothing to do with Paul. And the giveaway is the last two lines, though she feels as if she's in a play, she is anyway. Anybody who knew Beth from when she was very little, she was always acting. Right into her teens, in her school, her church, her youth club, everything. Beth was always the little actress. So she feels as if she's in a play. Because now she is anyway, because she's the pretty nurse of Penny Lane. So all these places were real. The people were real. When they say it's in their ears and in their eyes, this was the childhood for John, Paul and George. Everything for their childhood comes back to Penny Lane, where John first lived with his mum, just off the Penny Lane roundabout, within the Penny Lane area. When he went to live with Aunt Mimi, he would get the bus to school, which meant getting the bus to Penny Lane every day, walking down Penny Lane, the road, go to school, back to the shelter in the middle of the roundabout of Penny Lane, and back home. So till John was 11, almost every day he's at Penny Lane. George was the same. He would walk through Penny Lane on his way to and from school. Then when his family moved out of the area, went to Speke when he was 7, he was getting the bus to Penny Lane like John. So till George was 11, almost every day he's going to Penny Lane. Paul was coming down because he's in the church choir at St. Barnabas on the roundabout. He was then going through Penny Lane and back every day on the bus to school. When they were playing as the Quarrymen, that's where they would meet. All meet up there, change buses, and go and play wherever they were playing. When they go in the cinema, that's where they meet, and they go up to the cinema, go down onto Penny Lane, go to the fish and chip shop. They played at St Barnabas Church Hall down on Penny Lane itself as the Quarrymen.
They're always going past Penny Lane, wherever they go, cinema, whatever, barber, bank, whatever. They're always going past there. That's like the central point.
Yeah, that's how I describe it. If you think of this whole part of South Liverpool as a wheel, Penny Lane is the hub. Everything revolves around it. To get anywhere, you've got to go through Penny Lane. And it's the same now. It's always, always busy.
I'm going to explain something, David. What you've said to me, I'm just sitting here listening. I'm not even moving. My ears have opened up because I'm fascinated, because the way you describe it, it's like a puzzle. It all makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense perfectly. It's like you did a 2,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and you don't know where to start. Well, you've just put all the pieces, and to me, it makes sense. That's what it is. How can you... A lot of people say things, but how can you tell what is and what isn't? But what you described to me fits perfect like a glove on your hand. Yeah. I don't think there's any other better answers than the one you've said.
Yeah, it all fits. It's all backed up. It's all researched. And that was when I was doing Liverpool, my first book. That was probably the biggest thing that I uncovered, was suddenly realizing how important Penny Lane was to the Beatles. And most people don't get it. And when I take people on private tours and I get them to Penny Lane and I tell them that while they're standing in the middle of the roundabout, they'll go, wow, I never realized. And you'll never listen to the song again in the same way. Because it just
Dave, you've got to tell me where the book is. Where's that book? How do they get the book? You've got to there show us and tell them where they can get it.
Yeah, you can get that. You can come onto my website, davidabedford.com, or onto Beatles bookstore.com. So Liverpool place for the Beatles.
Sorry, David, you cut out for a minute there. If you can go through that again.
Yeah, so do you want to get...
Yeah, please.
Okay. It's now in its 3rd edition, and you can get that from my website, davidabedford.com, or beatlesbookstore.com. Either of those, and you'll be able to get a signed copy, or if you're not bothered back with a signed copy, you can get it on Amazon as well.
Amazing. You got another 2 songs to discuss, is that it?
Another one, I want to tell you about Strawberry Fields Forever.
Yep. You got to tell us 2 also about the part where it's two songs that were spliced together too.
It's genius. I think Strawberry Fields Forever is one of those songs that sounds contemporary now, just with the arrangement. As you're saying, they made different versions of it. And John went to George Martin and said, I like the intro from this version, but I like the rest of the song from that version. Can you just join them together?
Yeah.
Now, this day and age, with electronics and digital stuff, dead easy. Back then, there was no technology, and they've recorded them at different speeds. So what George Martin had to do was slow down the main part of the song so that it was the same tempo as the intro bit. So when you listen to it, John's voice sounds slightly deeper and slightly slower than usual. And that's because the main part of the song has been slowed down. So it joins the first bit. It's very hard to spot the join. You know, that's genius working from George Martin and the engineers there. So you got these 2 bits of the song put together. Now, different people
don't know that anyway.
Yeah. So
you don't read about it, someone tells you, you think that's been recorded like that. Who knows?
Yeah. But you listen to John and you think his voice sounds slightly different. That's why. So it's a great song. It's also one of those when you talk about Ringo and his drumming. Just listen to Ringo's drumming on that song. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's just perfect. Absolutely brilliant bit of drumming. I play air drums to it whenever I hear it.
That's great. But I've got to tell you something too now. Come on. After the song Tomorrow Never Knows, whether they slow his voice down a fraction, it makes no difference after that song.
No. That's a great performance, great recording, isn't it? And again, Ringo's drumming, fantastic.
But you know what? Let me tell you, I'm going to let you guess, which is the song which has his finest drumming on the song, and it's not an A-side single, and I class it as the most underrated Beatles song, but the best drumming performance by Ringo of any of the Beatles songs. Which one is it? And do you want a clue?
That's Rain.
Yeah, that's right.
Got to be. Fantastic song.
I love that song. I love that song more than Lady Madonna. I'm just telling you, that's just me.
I think, it's one of, as you say, it's very underrated. It's one that
not underrated. That's the greatest song the Beatles did. It's like, don't get me wrong, I don't run the Beatles. I'm not their record company. It's like All My Lovin'. It wasn't a single. That's an A-side single. If I was able to write a song in my life, right?
Yeah.
Not the song in my life, but a song, a Beatle early song.
Yeah.
Which one do you reckon I wished I could have written?
Oh,
All My Lovin'. It's the most perfect song and has meaning. And back then, it just was like miles and miles ahead for just simplicity and just the song that was just the greatest. And it's still the greatest. It's an evergreen hit. It's just the greatest.
And it's one of those that John Lennon, he said if he was going to pick out a Paul McCartney song that he loved, All My Lovin' is the one that John said. It is just a great, great song. And so for John to say it about a Paul song, he absolutely loved that song. So I think the only other one he mentions really is Here, There and Everywhere, that John says of Paul songs which were just absolutely great songs. So yeah, All My Lovin' is a brilliant song. But on Strawberry Fields Forever, so we talked about the arrangement, but the song started, John was out in Almeria in Spain. Of course, they finished touring at the end of August 66. He was now filming How I Won the War. And there was a lot of downtime. So he sat there in this big building that they rented. And the other side of the big garden wall, he could hear children playing. That took him back to his childhood. So his little gang was Pete Shotton, Ivan Vaughan, Nigel Walley. The four of them used to go to Strawberry Field. Now, Strawberry Field was a big merchant's house built in the 1880s. Salvation Army took it over in 1930s, opened it in 36 as an orphanage. So when John was playing in the grounds, it was an orphanage. So most people associate the big red gates with Strawberry Field. Actually, Strawberry Field to John was the wall at the rear of the property, because you go about 100 yards from John's house at Mendips, you turn right into Vale Road, which is where Pete, Ivan and Nigel lived. That's where the rear of Strawberry Field was, literally round the corner from his house. And the big wall is still there. And it's about 7 foot tall. So this is how you work it out. You got private property with a 7 foot wall, 4 young teenage lads. It's written into your DNA what has to happen next.
You've got to go over the wall.
You've got to. You have to. It's a compulsion.
That's a task at hand.
Yeah, there's a wall. It has to be climbed. And that's what they did. So they would climb over and they'd play in the grounds there. Now, as we know, John had this incredible imagination. One of his favourite books when he was a kid was Alice in Wonderland. And it's like going from one reality into another reality. So when John climbed the wall into Strawberry Field, he was going from one reality to another. So when he's on Vale Road, everything's real.
Yeah.
So he climbs over the wall, nothing is real. It's his imaginary playground. That's where
the way you described it there, word for word, is like perfect, David. Perfect. Word perfect describing.
Yeah, and that's what it was to him. So they were playing out these games. So when he's years later over in Almeria in Spain and he hears the kids playing on the other side of the wall, it reminds him when he used to play there.
Exactly.
And it took him back. And I think the reason it took him back was they got all the money they wanted, all the fame, all the girls. They'd given up touring. John didn't have contentment. He wasn't happy. when he was thinking of Strawberry Field, he went back to a time when he was like 13 or 14. There's no Beatlemania. His mother was still alive. He had his friends. They were just playing. It was days of innocence. It was his happy place.
Yeah.
And he had that time of he wasn't content. He could not find it. So in his mind, he went back to a place where he was truly happy, when life was so much better. You know, his father figure, Uncle George, was still alive. And of course, George died when John was 14. He gets close to his mum again, who gets knocked down and killed when he was 17. So going back to 12, 13 years old, playing with his mates, his father figure's still there, his mum's still there. That was his place before the madness started. That's why it was so special, and that's why he wants it to be forever. Now, when he says, "No one I think is in my tree," when he first wrote it, it was, "No one I think is on my wavelength." Nobody understood him. But he was meeting somebody who finally understood him, and that was Yoko. And I think John and Yoko are the only two people on the planet who understood each other. That they lived in their own little world. They got each other. Nobody could understand John up to that point. But I think the funniest description, the one I always love to tell, is nothing to get hung about. So what does that mean to you when you hear that line? What do you think of?
Don't get worried about anything. Don't let things weigh you down.
And that's what most people think. Actually, it's got a completely different meaning to that. Up until, I think it was beginning of 1965, the ultimate capital punishment in the UK was to be hanged. When John was playing in Strawberry Field when he shouldn't be, his Aunt Mimi would tell him off. Said, "You shouldn't be in there. You're going to get into trouble." And John would say, "Yeah, well, what are you going to do? They can't hang me for it. It's nothing to get hung about."
Got it.
So it's a very British reasoning. Nothing to get hung about.
Punishment.
Yeah. So
you call it capital punishment?
Yeah. So they're saying, "What are you going to do? They can't hang me for it."
Got it.
That was John's answer, just being hard-faced to Aunt Mimi.
See, that makes sense again. But you have to know. I can tell you, this interview here, anybody watching it who doesn't understand the songs, you give the most simplistic and perfect answers to the songs. I'm telling you. I've heard different things, but I've never heard it explained in such a way that makes total sense. Yeah. This is riveting, this interview.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. This is what I love doing. That's what I've been doing for 20 years now. And I love finding out the stories behind the songs and checking what really happened back then. So that's why I did Liverpool. That's why I wrote the first book, because nobody was telling the Liverpool story. And that's why the tagline on the front is, "To understand the Beatles, you've got to understand Liverpool."
Gotcha. How long did it take to write that book, David?
9 years.
Well, see, this is what you got to understand. 9 years to wait to put out a book. And I'm being honest, most authors, unless they're not on the top selling list, they don't make a lot of money. No. But it's not that. It's the love of the book and getting it out there and don't do it for the recognition. They do it because they want people to learn about what they're writing about. Yeah. That's the key. You come to Liverpool, you buy your book. I can't come to Liverpool. I buy the book. I sit here. I know about Liverpool. That's what it's about. The world to know about what the stories are without even leaving their house. And especially now with the pandemic, order the books, sit at home, read the books. And when you do go to Liverpool, you'll appreciate it even more because you have that knowledge. And also get them to give you a tour.
Yeah.
That's it.
Perfect. And that's why at the back of the book, I've listed every location in Liverpool with a link to the Beatles. And I divide it into the different suburbs, and there's maps in there. So literally you can look at a map and do your own walking tour using your fingers. And it's got all the references, photographs, and the explanation behind each location. That's why it took me so long to do. So it's all, you can do your own Liverpool Beatles tour in the book.
See, David, everyone reads. As I said, I'm a first generation baby boomer, right?
Yeah.
As I said, in 65, 6 years old. But you read about the Beatles. You read about places like Speck. You read about places like the Dingle. You read about places, the Worrell. I don't even know where these places are, or even if they're all close or whatever. You read about 20 Falkland Road, his house. What's the name of the street? As I pronounced it, Paul's house.
Yeah, that's right. Falkland Road.
That's it. And then you know about Mendips. And then you read about Brian's house where his mother lived.
Yeah.
Then you read about the Nem store. Then you read about Matthew Street. You read about all these places, but unless you go there, it's like you don't know.
Yeah.
That's really the ultimate experience is to go to Liverpool and see.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can't, obviously in the pandemic, it's a major issue. But if you can't, if you buy the book, all the maps are there, explains the location, where they are in relation to each other as well. So it's a bit of history of Liverpool, but then you get to see all the different areas, lots of photographs. There's over 800 photos in the book. I love pictures in books. They make it come alive.
I've had a lot of people go to Liverpool, I'm just saying, and send me postcards of the pictures of the Beatles' houses.
Yeah.
You've seen that card where it's got their doors.
Yeah.
They fit the places. I mean, the one where the statue's outside the door, John.
Yes.
The Beatle place that's near the wharf there, isn't it?
Yeah, the Beatle story.
I'm saying now, their new museum, they've got to have postcards on that, obviously, issued as well, yeah?
Yeah. Fabulous museums. Yeah. It's great. So you got the Beatles story down at the Albert Dock, and you got Road Beck Museum down on Matthew Street as well, the Liverpool History Museum, Beatles Museum. So fabulous. Loads to see. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing for 20 years. I love finding all these early stories and interviewing as many people as possible. So there was no Beatles on Liverpool book, so I wrote it. And she said, it don't really make money out of doing this. None of us do. But we do
It's
it.
a love of it.
Yeah, we love what we do.
Do you know how many fantastic people I've met by doing this? And I can tell you now, no one knows. I'm up to about 94 interviews in 2.5 months. And I think before the end of the month, I'll get to 100.
That's incredible.
But let me tell you, every interview I do is knowledge for myself.
Yeah.
And the great thing is everyone's got knowledge.
Yeah.
But share the knowledge because you know what it is? It's all about sharing.
Yeah. And that's what I love what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, but we see that, David. The passion comes through. I mean, I know about the Beatles, but I'm not on your level. Who's going to be on your level when you spend years and years and years researching and finding things out that half the people don't know in the world? And that's why you're here for the David Bedford Liverpool Report. And you know what? I'm loving it. This show today has been the most fascinating and riveting show for me. So imagine how it is for everyone else. And I'm just saying it straight. You explained everything and so easily to understand. Like, I get it. You know, up until now, what do you get? There's a lot of folklore in the Beatles legend.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody, it's like I whisper something to you. By the time you whisper it to 100 people, the story has changed from A to Z, B, Z, and A. And that's what it is.
Yeah. I like to get through the myth and find the facts.
Exactly. Anyway, David, all I want to say to you is today, it's been fantastic.
Thank you.
It was Father's Day yesterday, I believe, there.
Yeah, it was.
Father's Day to everybody around the world.
Yeah.
And all I say is the David Bedford Liverpool Report is one of my faves, and I just can't wait now for the next episode. So from Plastic EP and
Liverpool Dave, a.k.a. the Vinyl LP.
Well, that's it. I can't wait. I can't even wait for the birthday show. That'll be massive. All right. Stay there, David, and we'll say goodbye to everybody. See you, everyone.
Ta-ta for now.
Bye-bye.